All right, guys, we are super behind schedule. I'm sorry about that. I guess we had better food this time, or better sponsors, or better drinks, or all of the above. Well, it's the same place, but I guess there's more people. There's more people this time, which is pretty cool. We got a great turnout. Who's excited for New York 2020? See a couple hand raises. That works too. Applause or hand raise, that counts. So now you know who's sitting next to you. If you were here last month, you heard from the one and only State Senator Diane Savino. As you may know, Senator Savino helped us bring medical to New York State. She shared some of her thoughts in terms of what 2020 was going to look like in terms of adult use. If you're interested in hearing what she had to say, go to CannaGather.com/December 2019. All the videos from our past events are completely free. I encourage you to check out her video, as well as State Senator Kruger, who's the lead sponsor in the Senate on the bill, along with Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes in the Assembly. So Senator Kruger spoke in, I believe, October. So CannaGather.com/October 2019, and obviously CannaGather.com/December 2019 if you want to get up to speed in terms of where we're at with New York State cannabis legalization. Couple quick shout outs. Want to thank our host committee, Mitch Kulik, Tara Hayes, Adam Fior, and Robert Bernstein, who I'll also give a shout out to in a second. As you may know, if you buy a VIP host pack of 4 tickets, you also get a shout out and some olive oil courtesy of Jenny from Jenny's Baked at Home. So round of applause for all of them. We have Dana Beal in the audience, the godfather of cannabis legalization advocacy. And back in the early days of CannaGather, about 5 years ago, almost six years ago, he used to just sort of come on stage and make an announcement. He doesn't do that anymore, so I'll just make the announcement for him. So thank you, Dana, for giving us. He has a 100 Years of Prohibition movie that is screening it's a slideshow at the LGBT Center. Which I'm very jealous about because that's a very great space along with New School. So if you're interested in learning about the history of prohibition and what Dana has sort of chronicled throughout his 52 years of the movement, which is crazy. I've been doing this for 6 and 6.5, and Dana's doing it for 52. So Dana, whatever you want, I guess I sort of have to do. So Dana Beal, he has some flyers. It's going to be in the middle of, towards the end of February for his slideshow. This obviously couldn't be done just by me. Very little of it could. So I want to give a shout out to everyone who's up here for helping pitch in. I want to give a round of applause for our host committee if we didn't, and for Dana, and then also for the CannaGather team. Thank you all so much, everyone who's up here who make this possible. And also many people in the audience who also help make this possible by referring people to come to CannaGather, to sponsor CannaGather, to speak at CannaGather. It's very much a group effort, so thank you all so much for that. Quick heads up, the after party location has changed. It's actually closer. We found it closer. It's literally on this block. If you go around the corner, either way, you'll get there. On the short side to Cube. So thank you, Jason, for teeing this up. 11th Street and 6th Avenue. After party starts right when this ends. Free Bhang chocolate for everyone who comes to, non-infused chocolate to everyone who comes through. And make sure to get your early bird tickets. There'll be another plug for that, but CannaGather.com/February 2020. So I want to thank our sponsors, obviously Bhang. Round of applause for Bhang. We'll hear a lot more from them. But in the meantime, I want to call up Cole Shots. I think I saw a Mark and a Rob and a Erica and a Christy. I saw all sorts of people from Cole Shots. Cole Shots is one of our longtime sponsors, full-service law firm, real estate background, and Rob is coming up to give the...
So my name is Rob DePisa. I'm a co-chair of the Cannabis Law Group at Cole Shots. Cole Shots is a full-service law firm. We have offices all across the East Coast, as far west as Texas. Josh pretty much summed it up right there, but I've been practicing cannabis since 2013. A lot of the other attorneys in our group have been practicing for a long time. Come up to me, come up to Mark, introduce yourself, tell us your story. I just wanted to say one thing tonight. You know, a lot of people have asked me, when is it going to happen? When's New York going to happen? They heard Cuomo's speech. When's New Jersey going to happen? You can't sit back and say, when is it going to happen? Everybody in this room needs to advocate. You need to talk. You need to tell people. You need to give them the information they need to make the decision. All right? So I just want to encourage everybody to keep advocating, keep it up, and thank you. Should be great.
Great advice. That is great advice. So touching on that, the governor announced his state of the state a couple weeks back. He went over the budget earlier today. The budget has not yet dropped as far as I'm aware, unless it has over the last hour or so. There's a summary of the budget out, but what in particular we are looking for is the CRTA, the Cannabis Regulation and Taxation Act. That is basically going to be the overview of what New York State cannabis policy will look like, the policy framework will look like from the governor's side. In particular, how that reconciles with the MRTA, the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, which is the bill that Senator Kruger and Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes was championing last year. And what we're going to see is how much the CRTA from the governor last year has moved towards the MRTA to be something that both the legislature and the executive are happy with. And that'll probably give an indication as to how likely it is to pass in the budget, which, as the governor said earlier today, is the easiest way politically and otherwise for it to pass. I'm curious to see what it says. No one other than the governor's office knows what it says. So we are very eager to see, and I was hoping that it would be out. But stay tuned, and I'll obviously send out some notes as soon as I see it. Either way, there's going to be a bus to Albany next Tuesday. So as Rob was saying, you got to get out, you got to do stuff. If this were last year, literally last January, I would have been like, screw that, it's January and it's Albany, I'm not going. But after going in, I believe it was March, towards the end of budget, I realized how important it is for each individual person to have each individual touch point with legislators and with the executive and with everyone really, staff, whoever it may be, to get involved with voters, constituents, to really just get out there. Because the more that we say, when will it get done, the less likely it is to actually get done, because there are people who are actively working against us. There's smart approaches to marijuana, I'll give them a shout out, who are actively feeding disinformation to people, to politicians, to voters. They have some legitimate concerns, but a lot of the information that they're feeding is intentionally misleading. And they've actually given us a couple votes in the Senate for that, so we want to thank them. But at the same time, you have people who are organized against, and we need to organize for. The bus is going to leave from 14th and 4th Avenue. Yes, it exists. It sort of took me 25 years of living in New York to find that out. And I spent a ton of time in Union Square, too. So it's going to leave from Union Square at, I believe, 6:45. But send me an email. I'll send you the sign-up link. 6:45 a.m. I know I'm not a morning person either, but I will definitely be on that bus. So come hang out with me. We can talk or just, like, sleep, probably. It's important. Really hammering home the message that cannabis needs to happen now. Cannabis needs to be done in the right way with a proper social justice and social equity framework, that patients need to be looked after. And every reason why you are in this room right now needs to be communicated to those people in Albany, and every little bit helps. And then there was an article, thanks to Dave, our videographer in the back, for highlighting this to me. There was a Gothamist article that was really inappropriate towards the end of session last year that really railed on two state senators in particular, Senator Pete Harckham and State Senator Shelley Mayer, both of Westchester, slightly north of the Hudson Valley, I guess, and said, these are 2 of the 7 or 9 reasons why cannabis legalization didn't pass. In actuality, I told them, and they told them, that they weren't reasons, and we were very excited to see that Senator Pete Harckham came out in support of the sensible approach, which is legalization through a regulated and taxed market. And so, as you know, if you've been paying attention, we're really down to 1 or 2 or maybe 3 votes in the Senate. So to have him now publicly come out and say that he is in support of doing the right thing, especially given where things stand, that you already have the ubiquity of the gray market or the illicit market or the private market, however you want to call it, not the black market, but pretty much any way else. You gotta legalize, and you gotta regulate, and you gotta do the right thing. So very exciting news in terms of, it's not the budget, which is ultimately going to be the cornerstone of what the betting markets that don't exist are going to bet on in terms of New York State legalization, but it's a very good sign. So thank you, Senator Harcum, for your support. Round of applause for that. Senator Pete Harcum. Back to the sponsors. Wilson Elser, national, maybe even international actually, law firm, full service. We work with them on a project that will hopefully be revealed over time. That's not the big announcement later, but hopefully an announcement for another time. So if you're interested in legal services, and if you're starting a company, you by definition are interested in legal services, you have two great law firms to choose from, Coleshots and Wilson Elser. MGO and LO. If you're interested in starting a company, in addition to legal services, you also need accounting services. And so MGO handles accounting from some pretty well-known celebrities who I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that publicly, but some very well-known celebrities. And then also on LO, they have a strategic and advisory arm as well, so and branding and a few other professional services. So if you're interested in accounting or professional services, I think everything but legal pretty much, MGO and LO. Sunstone, we had Stu. We saw Stu last time for all of your lighting needs. He does the fixtures and has some pretty massive projects, which he can tell you about in private. Not on the cannabis side, and now he's realizing that all of his services are very useful for the cannabis side, and has been working with folks on the cannabis side as well, but very reputable and well known on the lighting side beyond the cannabis industry as well. So thank you, Stu. He was sitting over there last time, but I guess he's not this time. Grassi. So on the accounting front, we're working with Grassi, Robert Bernstein, who bought the host committee for all of your accounting needs. As I said, it's really important to have really good professional service providers. We got you covered on the legal side with Coleshots and Wilson Elser, and we also have you covered with accounting with MGO-LO as well as Grassi & Co. So thank you, Robert Bernstein, for all of your help and your support on our project, which will hopefully be revealed later down the line, and then also for CannaGather today. Anderson Kill, so one of the, continuing with the professional service providers, probably one of the more interesting lawyers in the world, Mr. Jerry Goldman, as likely to lead your case as he is to lead your Burning Man camp, because he does that. So Jerry Goldman, he's the guy wearing the hat. He's also the guy suing the Saudi Arabian government for 9/11. So again, we have you covered with some pretty amazing professional service providers for your legal needs. Anderson Kill and Jerry Golden have you covered. And we just want to quickly run through some of our final sponsors. MWE, also on the accounting front, BNB Bank, Base, Splash, Tress Capital, Herba Verde Group, and Bimble. So thank you all to all of our sponsors. We really appreciate all your support. We cannot do it without you. Cool. So this is the CannaGather calendar, which is completely illegible, and I apologize. But basically, if you go to CannaGather.com, you'll see that we have some events coming up, not just in New York. New York, as mentioned, it'll be February 18th, and you can get your tickets now and save $5. Actually, early bird ends at 10 o'clock tonight, so definitely get your tickets now, and I'll say why a little bit later. But we have 2 new markets that we're launching. If you know anyone in these markets, I'd really appreciate introductions. So we're doing Detroit at the end of the month. Very excited about Michigan, very excited about the whole Midwest. We don't have anyone in Chicago just yet, but Michigan's a very exciting market, so if you know anyone in Detroit. And then likewise, next month, Boston will actually be on the same night, February 18th, as the New York event. And then the next day will be the NCIA conference. And if you're interested in a 20% discount, I believe it is, CG20, And if you're interested in more information, I'll be going up there the morning after our February 18th event. Should be pretty awesome. I was there last year. It's really cold, but it was worth it. So CannaGather.com if you're interested in some of our other markets. So this is the big announcement. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, subject to what's going on in impeachment, is slated to be our speaker at the February 18th CannaGather. So that's pretty cool. Big announcement. Obviously, we saw with Congressman Nadler, who wasn't able to make it in December, that when the president is getting impeached, that's apparently a higher priority than CannaGather. I'm sort of torn on that, but we'll see what happens. So his office wanted me to emphasize that his schedule is subject to change, so he is committed to speaking. So I guess that's a good sign for the cannabis world. I'm not sure if he's spoken at a cannabis event so far. So we have the Senate Minority Leader hopefully speaking tentatively February 18th. So grab your tickets, CannaGather.com/February 2020, and early bird ends at 10 o'clock. So quick reminder, take out your phone, take a picture, write a post, and share it with friends on social media. Tell them to come to the next CannaGather, and also tell your best friend, your favorite governor of New York, Governor Cuomo. Seriously, tweet him. Politicians literally have TweetDeck in their office on like dedicated displays. Not all of them, but many of them literally have Twitter open tracking who tweets at them. So I strongly encourage you, it actually does help, as crazy as it is, to take a picture, say you're here at CannaGather, and tomorrow and the day, just tweet at the governor and all your friends, and let's help build that support. And hopefully buy a ticket to next month's event as well. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Mr. Oren Levy, the owner and CEO of Green Angel CBD. So if you read news, local news in particular, you'll see that Oren has become a very popular guy in the news, in particular because he had quite a bit of hemp that you saw. Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you, Tom. That many of you have now. And the police thought it was a weed. And they busted him. Or maybe allegedly, they might not have even thought it was weed, but they just wanted to bust him anyway. And they seized his stash. And now he got it back. And now what happens? What's going on? Tell us the backstory.
Sure. So, you hear me? Yeah, perfect. Okay. So I'm too many people. I'm nervous. So,
nothing to be nervous.
On November 1st, I was actually, before this whole thing happened, I was rushed into emergency surgery. I almost died, and the doctors had to cut me open. I was in the hospital. I can't sit still for like 2 minutes, so I was still making orders from the hospital with 3 big holes in my stomach. And I ordered about 106 pounds of hemp from Vermont. The shipment was actually seized first in Vermont by Vermont PD. FedEx brought it there and said there was a big shipment of marijuana here. So Vermont PD did their due diligence, and they actually did their research, and they seen all our paperwork and all our licenses, and they told FedEx pretty much, this is legal hemp, we're not seizing it. Either you leave it here, or you bring it back to the farm, or you deliver it to the guy, which was me. I guess FedEx didn't like that answer. What they did is actually reported it to the NYPD. I live in Brooklyn. The NYPD got the shipment. They thought they had the biggest drug bust of their life. It was some FedEx driver that wanted to be a DEA agent one day, but never passed the psych eval. So he turned it in. He turned it into NYPD. I'm already out of the hospital. I'm in Long Island, and I'm recovering from my surgery. And I get a phone call from the NYPD, an Officer Greenwich. And he tells me, "Oh, we have your shipment." I said, "Yes, I know." He goes to me, "What's in the boxes?" I said, "It's 100% legal industry hemp. It's federally legal. It's a federal commodity." At that point, he started asking me for paperwork, and I said, "Listen, all the paperwork under each box is like, I've been doing this for 6 years. I'm not new to the industry. He calls the farm. They send him more paperwork with my ID and licenses, Department of Agriculture licenses, and everything they needed by law that we're allowed to do. At that point, the officer called me up and said, Mr. Levy, we're just going to investigate your paperwork, and we'll call you up if everything checks out. I get a phone call maybe like 20 minutes later. He says, how you doing, Mr. Levy? We apologize. We checked your paperwork. Everything checked out. Can you please come pick up your shipment? I said, no problem. I said, I understand. I explained to him the laws have changed, and I know it's a little confusing these days, but all our paperwork is in order. I was like, yeah, just come in before 7. I told him, listen, I can't pick up no boxes, but my brother is helping me out while I'm recovering. And he's like, no, I want you to come in. I said, what the fuck is going on? Excuse my language. I said, what is going on here? And I said, I can send my brother in. He's helping me out. He says, all right, send somebody. I said, all right. Something in my mind said something's not really right, but I knew I'm 100% legal. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I help people for a living. I'm actually a licensed drug counselor, which is even tops it off even worse with what they did to me. My brother gets into the precinct, and he texts me like, Oren, I think I might be getting arrested. I said, nah, stop. I said, stop screwing me. I keep saying fuck. That's not good. So I said, stop screwing with me. And I was like, should I call some of my cop friends? Because I work with retired officers. Like, I have respect for police, but what this guy did to me was like totally out of control. I'm looking at the phone, and I'm like, I can't believe this is going on. And then he texts me. He's like, Oren, I'm actually getting arrested. I call some of my cop friends. My cop friends, yeah, we'll go down there. We'll see what's going on. I tried to call the 75th precinct again, and I told them, listen, you guys are making a huge mistake. I want you to know I'm on TV a lot before this happened. I said, I'm a licensed drug counselor. I specialize in getting people off of opioids. He tells me, well, you know, I don't care. I said, you don't care? I said, listen, I said, my paperwork is in order. I think you should care. I said to him, you're making a big mistake right now. And he hung up the phone on me. So it was terrible what happened. We got our shipment taken away. My brother went through central booking. He spent 35 hours in central booking. He got released ROR the next day. Who the fuck gets...
What is ROR for?
Released on your own recognizance. Who gets released on their own recognizance for 106 pounds of marijuana? That's like... I think... So what happened is...
It was 106?
106 pounds of hemp. 106 pounds of legal industry hemp. They let my brother out ROR the next day with no court date. And I'm like, what is going on? So I immediately made my phone calls to all the press that I know, and I made thousands of phone calls to press. And the next day, I get a phone call from Channel 12 News, and they're like, okay, we want to cover your story. We're going to do it in front of the 75th precinct. I said, all right. I said, let's go for it. We're in the 75th precinct. We do an interview. I get a text message from one of my cop friends, and like, are you outside the precinct right now? I said, yep. He goes to me, what are you doing there? I said, I'm showing the bullshit they pulled on us, you know, and I stood up for us. The cop also, when he turned in our shipment, he forgot to tell the district attorney that all our paperwork is in order. He forgot to tell the district attorney that it was legal hemp. Forgot. Hint, hint. He knew what he was doing. Exactly. He wanted overtime. When someone tells you come in at 7 o'clock, you know his overtime. He's working a day shift from 9 a.m. to 7, and then they're done. He wanted that overtime. But he picked the wrong person. He picked the wrong person to start it with.
So what happens now?
So the chief of police goes on TV. Listen to this. This is even funnier. Huh? Yeah, O'Neill goes on TV, and O'Neill says the reason why we seized this shipment is because they had no paperwork. Fox 5 was in front of my house when this was going on, and Fox said, Oren, do you have a rebuttal? I said, absolutely, I have a rebuttal. And I showed him emails going between the farm and the officer proving we had paperwork. I had a statement from the Vermont PD stating all paperwork was in each box. So it really was like bizarre what was going on to me. Like it feels like I'm in the weird Twilight Zone movie. Like it's really strange. And then the district attorney spokesperson, he's another asshole. He goes on TV and he's saying no legal level of THC is legal in New York. We're gonna destroy his shipment. But I'm like, dude, I said, Trump passed the farm bill. I said, what are you talking about? Every time we came out with a rebuttal, they came out with something else, with some other lie. Like I proved that. You can go on my Instagram. It's Green Angel CBD, and you'll see how many rebuttals. Every time they put out a statement, I fought back. Like, eventually, the charges were dropped. One of the charges. Oh, just clap. Charges were dropped. So, to top it off, one of the charges this officer charged my brother with was knowingly and willingly trafficking marijuana. This cop is dirty. So I did my research on this cop, and he was sued in 2014 for pulling the same bullshit he tried to pull on us, but on someone else, right? Tampering with evidence, not giving a person a fair trial. It was insane. So after fighting and fighting and fighting, thank God my brother got his charges released, charges dropped. But then the district attorney spokesperson gave another comment out, we're gonna destroy his shipment. Illegal federal commodity. I remember, state can't interfere in interstate commodities. They can't tamper with anything that's federal. So again, I go to Instagram. I'm big on social media, and I just proved over and over how right we are. You know, how we were getting done dirty like that. People call me a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone that defends myself. You guys are the real heroes, right? You guys are the real heroes, and you guys went to social media, and you guys fired back, which is good. For us, we need to stand as a whole, right? One of us is strong, but all thousands of us are stronger together, right? And that's what we did, you know. I eventually got my shipment back, thank God. I got the 106 pounds, about 20 bags were opened up, and they actually sealed it normally, which I was completely surprised. They did it with the whole sealer and the way it should be.
How much is the 106 pounds worth?
Retail value about 100,000. Not to mention lawyer fees, not to mention I lost about 10 pounds, my brother lost 10 pounds. Like, these guys tried to destroy us. You know, these guys tried to destroy us. I'm a stubborn guy from Brooklyn. I don't back down. I fight back, you know, especially when I'm right. I don't give a shit, you know. I keep cursing, sorry.
So I think, you know, the district attorney in Brooklyn, he's done a lot of good for the movement. District Attorney Gonzalez, he was helpful in pushing forward, dropping a low-level nonviolent cannabis possession prosecution. So I want to give him a shout out for that. But I wanted to bring Oren up here for a couple of reasons. One is to show that a lot of these injustices are still happening, are still going on. Even people that are, you know, trying to do the right thing, and then separately also do the right thing in terms of your recovery work. And then also because, you know, I want to know, like, what can this community do in addition to knowing your story and the trials and tribulations that you're going through? Is there anything that we can do to help?
Absolutely. It's good you asked that. So we need to, the cops need more education, right? 100% these guys have no idea what the fuck they're doing. They see a leafy plant and automatically it's marijuana, right? We're living in new days, right? So we need to write our Senate, write our mayors, and say these cops need more education, right? Also, another big thing is those field tests. Those field tests are from 1960s, right? That you can't use those field tests for CBD because they'll all test positive, right? So those field tests have to be less sensitive. Like if it was 1% THC, then it'll test positive, right? It's funny because I have a lot of friends that are professors, and some of them work in John Jay Criminal College, right? They're actually teaching the cops now what hemp is and using me as an example. I see my face on a schoolroom, like, what the hell is going on here? And yeah, that's me. Without the hoodie and the big bags of marijuana in my hand, hemp. So it's, they need more education, right? We're living in new times, right? And you can go buy CBD from any gas station, which I don't recommend buying CBD from a gas station. But you can go buy CBD pretty much anywhere today, right? It's everywhere. And these cops need to be educated on it, right? They need to pass down certain classes. I believe weed needs to be 100% legalized at this point, right? If weed was legalized, this would have never happened to me, right? I just hope that the city of New York is, not only the city, like every state in America is going to be more educated, because I've gotten about 4 phone calls after this happened to me by other people in the industry that it happened to them. Yeah, Texas, Oregon, New Jersey. People called me, they said, Oren, we need your help. And I'm more than willing to help people try to overcome what we overcame. Like, I'm a recovery coach. I'm also a recovering addict. I've been sober for 10 years now. And that's how I got into this business, right? Because I was a recovering addict. I was one of these, you would never recognize me a long time ago. I'm one of these guys that were almost homeless at one point in my life, beat up in and out of jails. And I learned those mistakes. From those mistakes, I learned how to help people. And I really would like to help people that will go through the same mistakes we had, you know, to show them which way to go. You know, one thing I learned in life, never back down. No matter how big they are, no matter how strong they are. It's like having a mosquito in the room trying to sleep. You're not going to sleep with that mosquito keep biting you, right? The same thing with other things.
That's why you have to open the window and encourage the mosquito to fly out of the room.
Or you try to kill the mosquito.
Different approaches.
Yeah, from Brooklyn. You got to do a little differently where you come from.
The vegetarian approach is slightly different.
Yeah. So I really believe they need education. I don't only deal with CBD. I deal with other natural medicines. I specialize in natural medicine, and I've gotten thousands of people off of opioids. I own another company where I sell something called Kratom, and it has its ups and downs in the news. Like, the news will slander the shit out of it. Reason why is because it's actually helping people get off of drugs. Now, we're dealing with a bigger picture now. The pharmaceutical companies do not like what we do, and that's why marijuana is still illegal now. It's because the pharmaceutical companies, you know, a long time ago, they said marijuana was the rape drug, or marijuana will turn you into a rapist, or the reefer madness. Some of you guys that are a little older have seen reefer madness before. And, or those stupid commercials, this is your brain and this is your brain on drugs. Those are all propaganda to scare people away for something that works, right? And tries to push more people towards pharmaceuticals, right? The pharmaceutical company are the biggest drug dealers. They put Pablo Escobar into a small, tiny bucket the way these guys kill people, right? We need to stand up for them. They're very powerful people.
Take one quick question, Bobby.
I'm Bobby Bailey, and I think that...
So I'm sure you all heard that, but just to repeat, Bobby encouraged everyone to get out there, talk to legislators, talk to Governor Cuomo. We need to get it done. We need to get it done right, and we need to get it done right now.
Yep, yes.
For this guy, for all of us, for everyone out there, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever the kids, MySpace is back. Justin from Base says MySpace. He's the tech guy. Anyone else? Any other platforms? Tumblr? Anyone? AOL Instant Messenger needs to come back. Zynga. Oren,
Yep.
we wish you luck in the next step of your journey.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Sorry. How crazy is that? $100,000 worth of hemp. And now you guys all have some. I mean, I do tell him, like, you know, in his defense, it does smell like weed, but, you know, that's why we need more education, not just for people in this room, but also for consumers, for police. So if the NYPD is listening, per my previous attempts, would love to organize some education with you. I think the acoustics in the room are good, but I'll just reiterate. The point that was made was, you know, in addition to over the next couple months during the legislative process getting involved, we also need to come September, November, or whenever there may be a special election to get involved in those processes and really get behind people that are advocating for the issues that we care about, because it does make a big difference. Oren, what's up? One more point from Oren.
I've got to tell you guys, we're suing the shit out of these people.
So I was waiting for him to say it, but he didn't say it, and so I assumed that he wasn't going to say it. But Oren just said he's suing the NYPD for $10 million. NYPD, FedEx, and New York State for $10 million. Got it. I was waiting for him to say it, and then I was like, okay, I guess you're not going to say it, but there he said it. Okay. Without further ado, I want to bring up our keynote speaker, the one and only Jamie Pearson from Bhang. Welcome here. So it's always a particular honor when we have people from out of state. Jamie, where do you reside of late?
I live in Montana.
Live in Montana.
I do.
Live in Montana. Welcome
Yes.
to New York.
Thank you.
Which is colder?
Montana.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So I've known you for a little bit, maybe about 1.5 years, I want to say. But many of the people in the room, some have known you for even longer, but some have never met you before. So who are you?
Well, hi, everybody, and thanks, Oren. That was awesome, and you are a hero. And I can't see anybody out there, but I know I have friends. So for all of you that know me, I just want to say hi and thanks for your support. I appreciate it. A little bit about me. I came out of the real estate world. I was a real estate investor for 25 years and, understand finance, buy low, sell high, basics. But what people don't know about me is that my dad was a cultivator or is a cultivator and has been growing marijuana for 55 years and on our ranch in Montana. And I want to correct Culture Magazine, who published an article about me and said my dad was a drug dealer. That's not true. He grows marijuana. He's a Vietnam vet, and he uses marijuana to medicate. And like a lot of people that use marijuana to medicate, I grew up in the war on drugs, learning how to keep my mouth shut, knowing how to either pick up dog poop or trim weed when I was a kid, because, we all had to do chores, right? And I was a high school and a college basketball player. I played on the USA team in Russia.
What?
And, yeah.
That's crazy.
I was not a cannabis user, and I was, kind of looked down my nose at my dad. The other thing people don't know about me is that my first cousin on my mom's side is DJ Muggs from Cypress Hill. And
What?
Yes.
This is crazy already. We just started.
Yes. While I was in law school, DJ Muggs lit a joint on Saturday Night Live. And so that happened. So my cannabis story is odd because I was not a big user. And I wasn't an evangelist, but I had it all around me. I knew a lot about it, whether I wanted to or not. And so what ended up happening is I spent 25 years investing in real estate, obviously have a legal background and did well for myself. And Muggs and I invested in real estate together, and how that came about is that, or how I got into the industry is that, Muggs was being approached by, cannabis companies looking to put Cypress Hill on their products. And he said, Jamie, I'm going to make you read all these contracts anyway, so why don't you just go find us a weed deal? And I said, well, I don't know anything about weed. And he's like, oh, but I think you do. And I think you'll figure it out. Because he would come every Christmas and my dad would smoke him out and we'd take him to the grow. And, it's just I guess that was my life. I thought it was normal. So,
No pun intended.
yeah. So anyway, that's my story. And I found Bhang. That's the deal that we struck with Cypress. And I think some of you read the press release, or maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I think it's coming out tomorrow, but it might have come out today. That the Bhang, after I was made CEO, one of the things that I did was went back to the Cypress guys and said, hey, why don't we tweak this deal a little bit and turn it back into a licensing deal? What the guys wanted was a deal where they had some ownership over those products, because they didn't want to just slap their name on a weed product. They wanted it to be something. These are people that went to jail. They had Jack Herer on the stage opening for them, and they were really passionate about the product. So they wanted to know it'd be something they would smoke and that they were proud of. And they knew that I would, make sure that whatever they wanted is what they got. It is what they got, and now they have a level of trust that whatever we do at Bhang with their products, and if you haven't seen them, they're really cool. You guys can hit me later. And so anyway, we're taking back control of that partnership and turning it into a straight up licensing deal and having them just be, celebrities instead of partners because they're all so busy. Be Real's in Profits of Rage and got Dr. Green Thumbs and Sen's doing Power Flow. We have all these other things going on, and I'm running a company that just went public in July, and we're all just busy. So I wanted to set us up to succeed. So that's my story.
That makes sense. And so tell us about Bhang. Like, tell us about the products that you guys have. What are the markets that you're in?
So Bhang started with a flagship gourmet chocolate bar. Our chocolate is amazing. And how many of you had it? Okay, quite a few of you.
Well, everyone who comes to the after party can have it, so.
Well, our CBD chocolatier is in the audience, and he's made some non-infused bars of dark bars for you to enjoy. Scott Van Rixel's our founder. He's a master chocolatier, European trained. He was putting chocolate in Whole Foods for 25 years before it was infused with cannabis. So the reality is the chocolate's actually amazing, and the way he developed this 10 years ago was that from end to end, the dosing was accurate. So imagine 10 years ago when you still had brownies in Ziploc bags with Sharpie on them. He was putting a nutritional fact panel on the box, and we had Lloyd's of London product liability insurance before one product hit the shelf. So that was what we started with. I came on to Bhang 4 years ago. When I came on, we had 150 SKUs. We have CBD that we currently distribute in 9 European countries and 47 states because there are 3 weird states that don't let anybody touch anything with the plant. Kansas, Idaho, South Dakota, I think. Just the crazy states that, they're going to come around. So that CBD line that we have, Scott imported $1 million worth of CBD in 2011. So think about that. It's 8 years ago. Who was talking about CBD 8 years ago? Okay, so you were, but you know stuff. There weren't that many. But anyway, Bhang's been out there kind of blazing the trail, pun intended. And 3 years ago, we developed a terpene product. How many of you out there know what terpenes are and why they're important? Good, a lot of you. And that's one of the things in my predictions that we're going to talk about. So
if you don't know what that is, CannaGather.com/May 2018. Check it out, or you could just ask me and I'll send you the link. So terpenes, important, check it out.
Yeah. So that's where we started, and now our THC products are in 8, soon to be 9 U.S. states. We're about to hit shelves in Canada with Cannabis 2.0. And like I said, the CBD products are in 9 European countries and in 47 states. So we're at about 100 SKUs, and we're one of the forces to be reckoned with. We're one of the companies that's going to make it.
And you guys are public. What is your market cap, just for us? I know that you've been named to like the High Times top 50 females for the last 2 years, but like for a sense of like scale, in addition to your own personal reputation, like where is Bhang size-wise? We're a small cap company, and you didn't ask me this, but I'm going to tell you the answer. If I had to do it all over again, we would not have gone public. I think that was trendy. It was what everybody was saying, how to go get capital, because the capital was coming out of Canada. We needed expansion capital. There's demand for our product as it is right now. If I want to go expand to another state, I'm doing that with a licensing model, which, there's good and bad. It's allowed me to expand the footprint of the brand because, I say me, that was what I did for Bhang is expanded that THC footprint while Scott was developing products and expanding the product line in the CBD and terpene range. So the THC is kind of my baby. And, doing it through licensing makes sense because you can have other people with their cannabis license and their capital and their human capital kind of help you expand the brand. But the flip side of that is you lose a little bit of control. And what's important to Bhang is that whether you buy that bar in California or you buy it in Ohio, it's the same thing. We want that consistent experience because if you buy a Hershey's bar in California or Ohio, it's the same thing. Now, obviously, Hershey makes their bar in Pennsylvania and they ship it around the world, and eventually we're going to get there. But until we get there, we have to manufacture those products in each individual state because we can't cross state lines. So having quality control is hugely important to us. And so that's the downside of licensing. Which of the markets that you're in currently, it sounds like you're in a different localities in terms of countries and then also in terms of states? Like, I guess domestically, which of the states that you're in or looking to break into do you think are the most important and or like about to flip in terms of adult use and how it treats CBD for ingestibles?
Okay, so that's a lot, but I can do it. So California is important. It's a big market. It's the fourth largest economy in the world. Their California licensing rules are a total shit show, and nobody's making money in that state. And it's, yeah, what they are doing is promoting the black market because as Josh was talking about, well, there was a quote that you put up there that you can buy weed in all the states where it isn't legal in any high school. But it's hard, you obviously there's no dispensaries in those states that haven't made it legal. Well, in California, there's only 657 licensed dispensaries in the state. So think about that. Of course the black market, I'm sorry, what? Oh, there's like 3,000 in Oklahoma. They got it figured out. That's a state that really surprised me. I got off the plane in Oklahoma City. I hit my cab, and it was cannabis, 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 cannabis. It was crazy. I can't wait to go to Oklahoma, and I've got. Come find me if you've got.
Apparently, we have recommendations for chefs in Oklahoma for anyone who's interested.
Yeah. So California is still important, though, and we just terminated our relationship with Origin House and took California back, took control of that state back because in order to do it right, I feel like we needed control of our brand. So California is important. We're in Illinois. We have a great partner in Illinois. We can't keep banging on the shelves there. We sell out. We have a great partner in Canada. I think Canada is going to be huge for us.
Who's that partner?
Indiva.
Just want to give him a shout out.
Yeah, Neil Murata and Indiva, his amazing partner for us. We're partners with Kim Rivers and Trulieve, and the deal we have in Florida is that we are the exclusive chocolate that will be in Trulieve dispensaries. Problem is, edibles aren't legal in Florida yet. So when that happens, we're excited. She also has Binsk there with their fruit leather, and the Pasternak brothers and I are homies, so I'm happy about that because we're going to share kitchens in lots of places.
Truly, for context, is dominant. I think majority market share, maybe 57%?
Yeah, it was, the last
lower?
I heard it was 57%. When we first started with them, it was 72%. Kim's done a really good job of dominating that market. Now, it's a seed to sale, vertically integrated market, and the legislators are trying to change that, so I don't know what will happen there, but if they could just get edibles legalized, that would make my life easier. We're in New Mexico, which is one of the states I think in elections we're predicting is going to go rec this election cycle, and I'm excited about that because it's another state where all of their rules are just weird, and you can't touch it. If you have this license, you can't touch this part of the industry, and New Mexico is just weird. We're in Michigan and Ohio, and those are two states we're really excited about, and so.
Any thoughts on New York or New Jersey, Connecticut areas?
I'm ready to come to New York and New Jersey. I think this is going to be a huge market. Obviously, it's already the biggest cannabis market in the world.
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, again, you guys got to get your shit together and pass some rules.
We're trying. The people in this room are trying. And then, yeah, I guess going back to one of the points in addition to sort of the macro federal landscape is, do you have any thoughts in terms of going into 2020 elections, how that's going to impact things?
I have some friends that have doubled down on Pennsylvania. They're really sure that it's going to go rec. I'm excited to see states like Mississippi and Idaho have ballot measures coming. And Illinois kind of paved that path by having the first, rec state that was actually a legislation that was, the government actually did that. It wasn't the voters. So we're starting to see, look, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. We have reached, and I would say we're starting to exceed the tipping point, and I think this election year is going to be pivotal, and I think people are underestimating the power of the cannabis issue because it's the one issue that the Democrats and the Republicans are actually agreeing on because it's just money, right? And it's making people feel better. You don't really, like what's happening in the states that are legal for the legislators that are paying attention is they're seeing a decrease in domestic violence and drunk driving, and they're seeing an increase in tax revenue, and they're seeing a decrease in the onset age of first cannabis use. And that makes sense to me because if I'm in Colorado, I can't buy weed in a high school anymore. I have to go to a dispensary. And now it's just like beer. Now, I drank beer when I wasn't 21 in Montana. It's kind of the way things work there. But it was somebody's older brother had to go break the law and buy it for you. And that's how we win, is by making cannabis, available only through a regulated and taxed. But man, they got to get the taxes thing under control because that's crazy.
Yeah, I think the tax situation has been one of the things that's really been a challenge for California without having necessarily like personal operating experience, but just what I saw from Phil Khanna on 60 Minutes and Mikey talking about, 80% of the market is illicit market and 20% is legal market, and maybe if that. And it seems like one of the structural challenges has been taxes, regulation, et cetera, and that's really stymied a lot of the growth from a lot of these companies that were coming out saying, oh my God, we're going to be this huge company, and there's a lot of red in Q4 and probably Q3 of last year. So what does the outlook look like going into 2020 as a publicly traded company in terms of capital markets, in terms of performance, profitability, all of that stuff under that landscape?
That's a good question. Well, 2019 was a bloodbath. And
I tried to be diplomatic.
It is. I mean, from a publicly traded company standpoint, capital dried up. And I don't blame shareholders for being afraid, because what we saw was companies that maybe had big alcohol infused money into their operating capital just making dumb decisions and hemorrhaging that investors' capital, and then investors are losing money and they're wondering, wait a minute, where was this quick money I had, to make in the cannabis market? And I think what's happened now, from my perspective, I was, in those meetings with other leaders talking about, I'm buying this company. I'm like, why? That company's crap. Like, their products are crappy. Why are you buying that company? Oh, my top line revenue, I'm going to increase it by X amount of dollars and my share price is going to go up. And that was all a share price race. And now what's happening is the shareholders have said, wait a second, and the money dried up, and now they're saying, what's your bottom line look like? And now you're going to start seeing companies, and you are seeing companies focus on bottom line initiatives, tightening up expenses, and looking at making real revenue. So I think it's that basic business fundamentals of buy low, sell high, and sell a lot. And you do that when customers trust your products, when your products actually do what they say they're going to do. Because one of the things, when I was preparing for this, I was, talking to, the different people that I, have in my, bag of tricks. And one of them is my CMO, and she's amazing, Sam Collins. And so she does a lot of, data-driven decisions. And one of the things we're finding is that the consumer is more sophisticated. People like my mom, who is also sober and will not use any mind-altering drug, is like, I'll try CBD now. Like, she's even open to it. It's amazing. And CBD is making her feel better. And we're learning that the endocannabinoid system is actually in control of most of your body. It controls your skeletal system, and it controls your endocrine system, and it controls your hormonal system. And it's sort of the control panel. And we don't know anything about it, and neither do our doctors, because it's a Schedule I drug, and we don't have federal funding for research. And what I think is going to happen is, as we start doing research on CBD, which we can do now, we're starting to see things like, it does actually reduce inflammation, is 10 times more effective than ibuprofen, and doesn't have all those side effects. And we're starting to see things like, when you use cannabis, it stays in your blood for 30 days. Well, why is that? Because when you use cocaine, it's gone 24 hours later. Your body's expelling alcohol. It's expelling those poisons. It's hanging on to cannabis because we have an endocannabinoid system, and it works with cannabis and it works with hemp. We need to know more, but I think the CBD was the gateway drug for us, and hemp is helping us get there, but I think you're going to start seeing THCV, which is an appetite suppressant. You're going to start seeing CBC, which they know now actually does fight migraines. brands are developing products that use turmeric or use lavender or use melatonin, and they can't talk about the CBD helping you sleep, but they can talk about the lavender or they can talk about the melatonin. And you're going to start seeing products come out that actually do what they say they do because the science and the technology is getting better. And I think the responsibility is getting better. And I don't really want to bash on that, vibrating pen company too bad, because they were on the right track and they started a trend. And I think they helped consumers realize, ooh, I think they had one called Arouse, and now all of a sudden there's all these sex products out there, and it's actually helping women feel better. Postmenopausal women are one of the most exciting demographics in cannabis right now. Mm-hmm.
Sure, clap. A lot of people are really excited about that demographic.
We're so excited about menopause. It's amazing.
I'm just going to smile.
My son would say, is that a trick question?
I don't know if it was a question, but it was definitely a trick. I'm not sure how to respond, so let's take a question from someone else. Martha.
I have like a gazillion questions.
Martha has a gazillion questions. We'll start with the first 20.
I'm ready.
Is Bhang only doing chocolate now?
No, we have our full line. If you go to bangcbd.com, you'll see, most of the products that we're doing are on the CBD side. The THC side, we're strictly right now in California just doing chocolate. We're allowing our licensees to do other products. And so we have, we look like geniuses because we killed our vape program. And we killed our vape program a couple of years ago, and it wasn't because we foresaw that what was going to happen. It was just because it wasn't that good. And people were just doing a lot better job than we were. And we want to have everything we put our name on be amazing. And so, to answer your question, we still have products that are not chocolate, but vape is not one of them. Because you're from Etain, and you and I both know what we're talking about, yeah.
I'm going to eat some chocolate while this happens.
I don't know if it's because it's a woman running it. She's very smart. But what I will say about that, hang on, Josh, is that consumers have choice. Curaleaf's there. They can go anywhere they want. Consumers are choosing True Leaf because they're having a great experience in those dispensaries. So it isn't, I think what happens though is maybe she's doing a better job of getting those customers to sign up under her dispensaries, and part of that is I think they have 46 of them in the state. So they're everywhere, so it's easy, and you hear about them, and it's right. And I think part of it is she just got there. Timing's everything, right? And she just kind of hit that sweet spot, got a jump start, did what she needed to do, and now she's rolling. She's got the capital to keep it rolling, and good for her.
The question was,
wait, she's got one more.
The question was, how does a single, smaller operator operate?
How's that
in a
chocolate?
World? It's awesome. And first of all, I'm starving because I forgot to eat. Second of all, I love chocolate. So it's obviously delicious. Well, no.
I have it. Come to the after party. I brought it.
See, exactly.
Well, I didn't bring it. David Little brought it. Where are you? You should stand up and be he's back there.
He'll be at the after party. So the question was, how does a smaller operator operate in a world where companies like True Leaf have 50%?
So it's a great question. And, if you want to talk afterwards, like talk turkey, I want to be back with Etain. I love your company. I love Hillary and Amy. The thing was when we had our license with you guys, New York was effing you. I mean, you guys were hemorrhaging capital. It was not working for us to be, so we parted friends. But the reality is, if it's time for us to revisit that, I think what we did was try to make it, and I came on right at the end of that relationship, but now that I'm in charge of that, my goal is to have Bhang chocolate in New York. And if we can do that and we can make that a successful venture, I'm looking to support small business. I'm looking to work with women. I am looking to work with minorities. I want to put Bhang, and I've said this publicly so many times, I'm going to say it again. I believe it's my responsibility to use my access to give people who don't look like me access. Because I believe that cannabis is better. Like, first of all, it's a disruptive drug or plant or whatever. We're going to disrupt the environment in a good way. We're going to disrupt big pharma. We're going to disrupt big alcohol. My CMO came out of Treasury Wine, and she says, it's the first time in my life, because she's only done alcohol, that I have people coming up to me saying, your product has changed my life for the better. You know, because when she... Well, like, I like red wine. I think it's okay. It makes my life better. But not in the same way cannabis is helping people with Parkinson's and, you know, children that have seizure disorders. Like, this plant is really changing people's lives. So anyway, I get on my soapbox. I'll get back off of it. But to your point, let's talk. I'm ready. I love you guys.
Questions? What makes you interested in Pennsylvania?
Well, fun fact, I worked at the Milton Hershey School for 3 years, and I was a house parent to 10 children under the age of 10 for 3 years. It was amazing. They were all orphans, and you know, I have a lot of love in my heart for Pennsylvania. I lived there. I love that community. What makes me excited about it is you know, I used to go to the Poconos and, you know, and pop down to Baltimore and go to the aquarium. And that whole area is very heavily populated, and I think it's going to be a great market.
The reason I ask is I was involved in honest.
Yeah. To your point, I come from Montana. We passed medical marijuana, I think I should know this, but I don't. I want to say 2004. So 15, I've been a landlord for cannabis growers in Montana for about 15 years, so that sounds about right. And right promptly thereafter, our right-leaning government, and you know, Montana's a full-blown gun rack red state, and you know, the Trumpers are everywhere. And if you're a Trumper, I apologize, but that's what I call you. Well,
I think they like it almost as much as deplorable. They've actually taken on deplorable.
Well, they call us libtards, and so sometimes I call them Trump-tards, but we'll, you know, anyway. I just do that to piss off my dad. Because he's a Trump-tard.
Both offensive. Both offensive.
Right. He's a Trump-tard pot grower. But
never mind.
And a
We can
cowboy.
get into it
It's
another
bizarre. But anyway, so the bottom line is the government immediately made it passed 75%. Everybody in Montana everyone smokes pot in Montana, let's be honest. So, you know, this is why you move, like, what else is there to do, you know? And so we're all smoking pot, drinking beer. I wasn't, but everybody else was. And then everyone said, yes, we want this. And then the government came in and said, you can only be a caregiver and you can't sell it. So you can only be a caregiver for 3 patients. And then, you know, the voters went back and changed the rules again. And then the government changed it back again. And so it was this weird draconian, you know, seesaw game that we're playing between the voters being very clear about wanting this. And I'm sure that's what you're talking about. What it makes me excited about Pennsylvania, though, is I think the voters are going to vote overwhelmingly. They want recreational access. We saw that in Michigan. They voted recreational access, and the government, wait a second. Okay, well, we're going to just shut everything down for a year and figure it all out. So their medical market shut down, and for them to figure it all out. Until we have federal legalization, the states are just going to screw this up. So it's time for us to, you know, get some federal legalization movement happening. And I think after this election cycle, it'll be really hard for the federal government to avoid it. But, you know, the lobbies are powerful. Who knows what will happen?
We'll find out next month with
Senator
Schumer.
There are people, and raise your hand if you've heard this before. Trump's going to pull a rabbit out of his hat if he's losing the election, and he's going to do an executive order and, you know, win the left-leaning vote and the minority vote by making marijuana legal.
So don't vote for him.
Yeah, because if you don't vote for Trump, then he's going to legalize marijuana.
I guess let's do one more question.
What do you got?
Yeah, right there.
Hi, Josh.
His name's Josh. It's very confusing already. Confusing question.
I know there's so many Joshes tonight that I've met.
Keep going.
I'm actually from Jersey. I work with Dr. Ray, who signed just to vote provide a lot of the evidence to move forward with legalization.
The question
That's
was from Josh, a researcher at William Patterson over in New Jersey. He's an endocannabinoid researcher, and his question was, how can the companies in the industry interface and support the work of the researchers and scientists like him?
So Josh, first, are you coming to the after party? Because you just need to come hit me up.
He's coming to the after party.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'll tell you is I'm working with a hospital right now in the New York area. I'm not allowed to name it yet because we haven't gotten our deal inked. But we're going to provide free CBD to this hospital to do some testing. So I would be interested in helping you if you're looking for something like that. Excellent.
He just got a CBD
Excellent.
study approved from William Patterson. Great.
Great. I'm
Thanks.
I'm all about it because
Thanks, Governor
the thing is,
Murphy.
if I can help you fund, if I can help you with your research, and the reality is I don't have deep pockets, so I'm just going to tell you we are a very small cap company, but I'm passionate about helping people like you who are going to move the industry forward. We'll have to figure something out, and maybe what we do is go raise. You got ideas? All right. Well, just talk to me later. I'm open to. We'll talk. Okay. I'm open for it.
So will you be at the after party?
Are the drinks free?
Your drink is free. The food, there will be food.
I'm joking. Of
There
course
will
I'll be there.
There will be free snacks, thanks to Jason for setting that up, and discounted drinks as well.
I want to tell everybody before we're done that you can find me on Instagram, and my handle is Jamie Pearson MT, Montana. And that's how you can find me. I ran out of business cards, so you can just not ask me that question. Do you have a card? I don't have them.
What's your email address?
j.pearson@bangcorporation.com.
Great. Jamie Pearson, CEO, Bhang Incorporated. Round of applause for all of you. Thank you so much. Come on the bus to Albany next Tuesday. Get your tickets and hang with Senator Schumer and this crew. Hopefully, what? The budget is out. I need to go read for multiple hours.